Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship, aka the Velocity Banking Crack Dealer. And what we do here is we spread the debt-free addiction. And what do I mean by that is that if you look at the analytics of the YouTube channel, we have in the last 28 days people watching more than 1,000 hours of content. And all I do is do the same content over and over again, which is me just doing spreadsheets of paying off debt. Pretty impressive you know, for a crack dealer to scale, right? Where I just do velocity banking over and over again. I don't really like put any effort into these videos, but it's okay. I don't have to. And you know why I don't have to put any effort into these videos? It's because I paid off a mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. So if you take a look at this, I literally paid off a mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. And when I say it, I actually kind of don't believe it. I typed in like Chat GPT is like, why is it that when I say I paid off a mortgage in 2 years and 9 months, I kind of feel like a liar when I tell other people, right? Like Chat GPT knows me better than me. And yeah, that's who I am. Paid off a mortgage in 2 years and 9 months, and that's why I don't really put any effort into these videos. Just a simple debt-free crack to get you all addicted, and hopefully we can increase this watch time. Because I used to make $200 a month on YouTube, and then I got a little bit lazy. And why did I get a little bit lazy? Well, my answer to everything, good or bad, is because I paid off a mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. Right? Like, I mean, think about it. If you paid off a mortgage in 2 years, 9 months, wouldn't that make you a little bit lazy? You know I'm right. Okay. All right. Well, let's get started with the debt-free crack addiction, um, uh, whatever it's called, lesson. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. So, what is velocity banking? Okay. Velocity banking is a debt payoff strategy where you throw all of your money into debt, all of it, all of it. Okay. And this is very scary for a lot of people because there's people out there with tons of debt and then they don't know how to manage it. Okay. So let's say you had five credit cards, and this is just me being lazy here, where I basically got the same credit card multiplied by four, and then you have one credit card here. So you have five credit cards, you have an auto loan, student loan, mortgage, and then your general personal operating expenses. In fact, making 11 grand a month, it's kind of sad that we have to almost kind of limit ourselves to $2,000 of expenses, right? But this doesn't include housing. So if you include housing, that would be 3,400. So it's not bad, right? It's not bad. But why am I laughing? I don't even know. Maybe it's because I'm addicted to that velocity banking crack. But a lot of people struggle with debt because they think they can't put all of their money into debt, right? And so what velocity banking does is it helps you overcome that hurdle by making your line of credit as your main operating account, right? And so the only difference between the average American side and the velocity banking side is that what first of all, the income is the same and the expenses are the same, right? But the savings goes to zero. And this first step actually scares a lot of people, right? It really scares a lot of people. And then if you go check out my screenshots that I have from my bank accounts, you won't see any money there. Maybe it's because I'm broke. Maybe this is all Photoshop. I don't know. But you probably won't see any money in my checking account because all of my money is going into something into a line of credit. What's a line of credit, you ask? Well, all it is a financial tool where you can borrow money, pay back, and then use it over and over again. So this is my 373,000. And let me dramatically zoom in. $500 home equity line of credit. So what does that mean? Well, it basically means that my house is like almost like a giant credit card, right? And I could literally click a button, and then they'll dump up to $373,500 into a line of credit. Now, you might be asking, okay, how do you get these lines of credit? And will they really dump up to $373,500? And the answer is it depends. Okay. But for me, yes. and they'll charge me an 8.5% interest rate. And credit cards are actually a form of line of credit as well, right? So I got these credit cards here. Credit cards, let me zoom in. Credit cards, and there's personal line of credit, and then I got like business credit cards, and I got all this, right? And so if I sum it up, right? If I sum all my lines of credit, guess how much I have? I know you're sick of hearing it if you're a regular on this channel, because I just say it all the time over and over again. I have over $731,000 in lines of credit. $731,000 in lines of credit with all these credit cards, right? And here's the secret to getting credit. And this is my latest $20,000 personal line of credit, which I've never used, which I need to use. But let me tell you, some of you like, how do you get a line of credit? And I tell you the secret, and none of you want to hear it, or almost none of you, right? I think the special few who listen to me, you understand the principle, and then I see the random comments like, I got a $20,000 credit card, I got a new, $10,000 line of credit. And the secret to getting credit is that banks don't lend money to people who need it. Banks don't lend money to people who need it. And if you need money, okay, and you go to a bank, they'll be like, something's wrong with you, right? Because a person who needs money is a high risk. I mean, think about it. Let me like ask you a question. When was the last time someone borrowed money from you and they told you that they really needed it? And then when that happened, did they pay you back? No, they didn't. Because and the bank knows this as an institution, which is why they don't lend money to people who need it. They at least want to get paid back. Now, they don't want to get paid back too early because that means there's no interest. But that's getting paid back early is way better than not getting paid back at all. Right? There's a reason why, if you pay off things a little bit too early, the bank might penalize you, or the credit bureaus might penalize you just a little bit. But if you don't pay, especially after 90 days, they'll be like giving you a 500 or 400 credit score. Okay. All right. So this is what we're going to do. What we're going to do is have this magical number called cash flow and increase it with something called a line of credit. So, the first step, which is not saving money. Second step is making your line of credit your main operating account. Right. And we have to make sure in our expense breakdown we list every single debt that we have. I got lazy. I was like, credit card 235. Why don't I just multiply it by 4? Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to assume we have access to a $200,000 line of credit. $200,000. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. That's ridiculous, right? It's not realistic that someone would get a $200,000 line of credit. And as I'm showing you my screenshot of my $373,500 home equity line of credit. Yeah, totally unrealistic. So, and the funny part is I never say any of this is realistic. I never say any of this will help you. I never say any of this is realistic. I never say any of that. When's the last time you heard me say that this is going to help people? I just do demonstrations. I'm like the Costco food distribution person. You ever like go to Costco and you see the people hand out samples of the food? Like Costco knows even if the people there don't look like they want to be there, as long as they hand out the samples, they're going to increase more of their sales of their food. You know what I mean? It's just what I do. Just talk about this. And do I care about helping people? I don't know. I probably care about being a crack dealer more than I care about helping people. Or maybe that's just defense mechanism. I don't know. Okay, so all right. Let's go ahead and yeah, imagine we had a $200,000 home equity line of credit. But the best part is when someone tells me something is unrealistic, and then I just pull up the screenshots and then like, what do you mean? I never told you it was realistic. Folks, if this were realistic, then 50% of the population will be able to do this, and they can. Like, I asked ChatGPT, what's the likelihood that an average person has over $731,000 in lines of credit? And ChatGPT is like 0.01%. All right. So, okay, let me go back here. Okay. So, all right, why are we assuming that we have a free and clear $200,000 line of credit? Well, the reason why we're doing that is because this is kind of essentially would be your lifesaver if you had never gotten to this situation and you had understood the strategy. Because what we're gonna do is make our line of credit as our main operating account, and the difference between average American banking and velocity banking. Why am I saying it twice? But average American banking and velocity banking is that when you do average American banking, you feel like you have to pay your bills, including your debts, and have something left over in savings, right? It's a social conditioning thing, social conditioning mechanism. Whereas velocity banking, you're using a line of credit as a tool to help you freely move money, and then you only pull the money when you need it, right? So the reason why we don't necessarily overpay loans, even though it's still a good idea, is that when you dump all of your money into loans, it's just harder to manage things, right? And the last thing you want to do, okay, is something called segregating your income. So what is segregating your income? Basically, all that means, okay, all that means is that when you pay your bills, look at all these debts. Look at if this $11,000 being split into many, many different ways, which is why your income is not as effective because it's just being split into up the wazoo. Okay. So what we're gonna do is move some of that money into the line of credit. And then what we're gonna do is dump our entire paycheck into the line, take our expenses out, and rinse and repeat over and over and over again. And I also know what you're thinking too. $11,000. If I made 11,000, I would never be broke. Folks, banks don't target poor people, right? So if you have debt problems, the best you're probably gonna do is just have like a $6,000 credit card. And I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm just saying that once upon a time, I used to make 20 grand a year and I had a 5,000, wait, how much did I have? $500 credit card. And I was like so excited. And then I'll be like, you can get credit limit increases off of this. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was just like so excited. And then once I got to like this level of 730 $1,000 in lines of credit, right? $731,000 in lines of credit. I was like, where have I been? Where have I been? What am I doing? All right, so let me go back here. So what we're going to do, so my point is this, is if you're poor, the bank's not going to lend you money, right? You'll just get a 500 credit card balance debt at most. The more likelihood is that, or more likely scenario is that if you're rich or making good money, that's when the debt offers come. And the bank is like a vampire, so they just kind of want to drain your blood out of whatever your blood is, right? And people who have a lot of money and no debt to the bank is like that person's got a lot of blood. I gotta suck some of that blood, you know? That's why they send those debt offers. Like, you ever notice, like, people always say something like, well, when I paid off the debt, I just magically got debt offers in the mail. Because they know when you paid off your debt. They know the likelihood that you probably have money. And again, banks don't lend money to people who need it. It's a very important lesson. Nobody really listens. How do you think I got over $731,000 in lines of credit? Probably just Photoshop, right? And just me saying the same thing over and over again, people not taking it seriously. So it happens to me a lot. I just say the same thing over and over again. It's like, why don't you just take it seriously? Anyways, all right. So this is what we're gonna do. Okay, this is the where the voodoo magic happens. So you see these 5 credit cards, right? 5 credit cards. Let's do 30, 35, 35, 35, 35. So we're going to sum up the balances of these credit cards, and it's $170,000. Okay. $170,000 into the line of credit. So think of it as like a balance transfer. We're doing like a balance transfer into the line of credit. Okay. Now think about what happens. Like we did not make more money, but this is like the part that people will get addicted and they won't realize that you know they don't realize what's going on. So guess what happens if we do this? All these payments go to zero. And then if you take a look here, these savings goes from 300 to about 6 grand of cash flow. What? How do we do that? Did the income increase? Simply by not saving money and then using your line of credit as your main operating account. We literally, people would freak out about $170,000 in credit card debt, and the bank will not give you $170,000 in credit card debt unless your income actually supports it, right? So, you know, there's really no way you can get $170,000 of credit card debt unless you make good money. Okay, unless you make good money, right? And so here, just by simply rearranging the flow of money, we get that nice $6,000 cash flow. And so the final step is we put our entire 11 grand into the line of credit as an overpayment, put your entire paycheck into the line of credit. That satisfies the minimum monthly payment, and then that lowers the average daily balance, therefore lower the interest. And we're taking advantage of this 7.5% interest rate from the 27 or 30 ridiculous interest rate of a credit card. So you put your entire paycheck in, you take your expenses out, which is a 5,000 right here, and then you rinse and repeat over and over again. So after every single month, the balance goes down about $6,000. Okay, the balance goes down by $6,000. So this is what we're gonna do here. And I'm just going to do this, and then this is going to be G2 plus H2 minus 5957.45. So that's essentially the cash flow of your budget, and that's going to be the same amount to reduce, right? The reduce, let me go back here, the debt, and then what we're going to do is calculate the average daily balance, multiply by the interest rate, and then divide by 12. And then what we're going to do is copy and paste. And then look at that. How did that happen? And so we see that in 32 months, the debt is paid off. Interesting. Okay. 32 months. Remember how we're freaking out about $170,000 of credit card debt? No thanks. 32 months. All right. So 32 months, 170K of credit card debt. All right. And then next step is to pay off these 3 loans. I mean, what are the main loans that people have? Auto, student, and mortgage. Okay. Now, if you see this loan calculator right here, all right, so loan calculator right here, all we got to do is type in the month, and it'll tell us what the current balance is. Okay. And you want to know something? Okay, let me make a quick plug. You want to know where I learned all this? I actually learned all this from Renatus. I learned about like the loan calculator from what's his name's class, Jeff Armstrong. I learned about velocity banking from another Renatus class. What did I do? Oh, I learned about credit from a Renatus class too. Where do you think I learned this from? Like, I learned the banks don't lend money to people saying from Renatus. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. But yes, this is the current balance, and there's something called the cash flow index, which I also ironically learned from Renatus. But yes, cash flow index. Okay, so if you go right here, and then I'm just going to go here, right? You see 27, 68, 199. So basically, think of this as a ranking system, and you want to pay off the lower cash flow index first. So it's just the formula of the balance divided by the payment. So what does that mean is that if you pay it off, you get a lot more bang for your buck, right? So basically, if we take a look here, right, you get a lot more bang for your buck for paying off the 12 grand because you get $449 of cash flow versus the 79 grand because you only get $1,000, right? Like, which one gives you more bang for your buck? So it's this one. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move the current balance of this auto loan into the line of credit and free up another $400 of cash flow. So what we're going to do is just do this plus 12133.31. All right, we got that. And then we're going to increase our cash flow by $400. And then now our cash flow is about 6 grand. I don't think it's really going to make a difference, but it's all good. The more the merrier. So 6406.67. All right. So now we paid off the auto loan in about 2 months, which is fantastic. I don't know if a person who makes 11 grand a month after tax is going to pay for a $25,000 car, but you know, everything's possible. And let me just see. So 34 months. Okay. So 34 months. And then this is going to be 170 plus 25, and that's going to be 195K. And then now it's our student loan. So let's do, this is going to be 34 months. So this is going to be really easy, right? So 34, 78 grand. And then, so let's move that student loan into the line of credit, which is plus 78,342.61. right? So we moved it here, and then our cash flow increases by $1,000, 7 grand of cash flow. All right, so that's cool. That's cool. Okay, so now let's go ahead and copy and paste. So 7 grand of cash flow, and then minus 7567.75, and let's copy and paste this Shazam. All right, so 45 months, it is all paid off. All right, so we got that here. All right, so 45 months, and then this is gonna be 295K, and then this is gonna be the mortgage. So in 45 months, 45, and now we got mortgage. And so this is my quick plug for Renatas, because why do I promote them? Because everything I learned or talk about here, I pretty much learned. Now, again, I have my own way of kind of like presenting it. Just like, you know, how there's like the Bible, and then you have different pastors like with their own styles of interpreting it. This is my way of just kind of like reinterpreting, well, velocity banking. So I have a kind of a unique, I don't know if it's that unique. Well, here's the thing. No one's going to call themselves a velocity banking crack dealer, you know what I mean? Except for me. But yes, I do sell their educational packages. So if you're interested in actually learning and just like doing it over and over again, kind of like I do, click the Google form link below. Other than that, yeah, so we're just gonna plug and play in this Renata's Velocity Banking Calculator. And people are like, well, how do I get this? Well, buy a package, spend $2,000 at least. Right? But a lot of people are afraid to do that. It's not and then they act like I'm not aware that they're I don't want to say chicken, but most people don't take risks. All right. Not 111,000. Okay. So $2,000 of expenses. No, that's not right. Or is it? Yeah, $2,000 expenses. That's too little. Or so my this example will probably be very unrealistic, but it's okay. All right, so $300,000 mortgage. What's the current payment? Which 1432.25, 32.25, and then it's going to be the current balance. So what is the current balance of the mortgage at this time? It's going to be 279,051.92. So 279,051.92. Now I'm going to tell you something. I would probably never buy a $300,000 home. I probably wouldn't. I'd like to ideally get a home for 200,000, right? You want so and here's the thing. You want that $300,000 home for $200,000. And the way you get it is pretty much at a discount, right? So I'm just going to show you right here. Right. So $300,000 property for $200,000. And I bought it at the peak of the market. And then I kind of became like a long-term landlord, and, 14 grand. Tenant was like, here's a 14 grand check. I'm like, sweet. And then, Airbnb, make that money, right? Some of you wonder, how do you make that money? I don't know. But I'm gonna tell you something. Sometimes like it's not all about the money, because like, yeah, I make a lot more money doing other things, because YouTube only gives me $128 a month. So I definitely cannot survive off of YouTube. But you use YouTube to kind of get ways to pay you money and possibly create a crazy cult, right? So let's just take a look here at the velocity banking calculator, and 2.8 years. Oh, interesting. All right. So what does this mean? Basically, with a line of credit, it's not always good that you move a whole loan into a line of credit. But if there's a big spread here, it's not going to make that much of a difference. But in general, I've seen situations where you move like a 3% loan to a 10% line of credit, and you pay so much up the wazoo. So you got to be a little bit careful when it comes to this, right? But if you do small chunks, it's actually a more manageable situation. That's why you call it chunking, right? But you can just kind of see what happens. 2.8 years. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is right here, and then just write 0, and then 45 Divided 12 plus 2.8. And how much is that? 6.55 years debt free. Woohoo! Woohoo! All right. So, yeah, that's it for today. I can't believe it's 10:42 Eastern on a Friday, because I literally thought like an hour ago it was 7 p.m. And what happened is I formatted my computer, and my computer thought it was like at Pacific time. I was like, is it 7 p.m. already? It's really dark. And then I realized, okay, that's actually yeah. Like, I don't even know what planet I'm on. And you know why? It's because I paid off a mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. So, all right. Well, that's it for today, folks. This Korean Lanta mentorship. If you're waiting for the secret code word, just type into the comment box below to let me know that you watched to the end of the video. Just type in, "I'm addicted to that velocity banking crack." That's all you gotta say. I am addicted to that velocity banking crack. Okay, we're spreading that debt-free addiction, folks. Spread the word. Okay. All right. Well, that's it for today. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video.